Welcome back to Riding Bikes in San Diego. We are on Fairmont heading north, but we're going to take this exit onto Montezuma eastbound, and this is the route I usually take, and people on this channel have seen it before. The reason I'm showing this is because there was a fire here, and I posted a video just yesterday biking through various roads when there was a wildfire here, and it congested all these roads in other parts of town, and we were filtering through traffic and talking about that congestion and all that. But I just want to show you, if you look over to the right, you see all these palm trees and all this brush, and there's a hillside, and this footage is the day before the fire. But I ride this all the time. This is the only route between my house and my job east that has a bike lane. So I have to take this gnarly hill, but I've gotten used to it. It's actually pretty gradual. It's good exercise, and this buffer usually makes me feel good. But you see all that brush off to the right? I'm looking at the traffic on the left, but there's all this brush to the right, and there are these hills. There are houses on top of the hills to the right. It's the neighborhood of Talmadge. And I used to ride through there, through the neighborhood, but it doesn't have a bike lane, so it's just not that safe. A lot of drivers get impatient and honk and all that stuff. But we got all those palm trees there and all this brush. And when I turn that corner at the very beginning, there's actually this smell of dill that comes in. So there are some wild plants there. And I just notice it just about every day. And it's kind of beautiful, you know. It's one thing to ride through the city, but San Diego has all these pockets of canyon and wild areas that traffic cuts through, and this road is so low trafficked when I'm doing my commute. There are so few cars. They're going fast, but there's so few of them that this is actually a very peaceful climb. And just ride into the sunrise every day. There's a nice, I don't know, metaphor in there about how every day is a new beginning and all that. I work on poetry and other things, not necessarily on this channel, but just I want you to see all those trees and all the foliage going up the hillside, because this is where the fire was. I had thought when I did the previous video that it was on Fairmont. And why did I think that? I had heard reports people in my neighborhood, Normal Heights, were being told to evacuate, so I thought the fire was closer to their place. It was just an abundance of caution. But the next day, I heard about all this and got more specific, but I didn't do my commute until yesterday on November 4th. So I wanted to show you the difference between what was here before, which is a lot of palm trees, which, by the way, are not native to San Diego. Whenever we have these wildfires, there are conversations about indigenous plants versus invasive plants, and how invasive plants make these fires more possible and worse, things like that. And I'm not minimizing this at all. I think this fire was a very big deal, which is why I want to show you what it looks like in the aftermath. After we pass this slab of concrete, we start to get to that green area, and then there are some houses that dip in over there. But now we're going to head to November 4th and take a look at that. Right around here, when I'm starting to prepare for that waft of dill, at this point I can smell smoke. And I had done this ride so far thinking like, where was this fire even? But the more I went, the more I knew where it was going to be, just by eliminating the fact that everything else was intact. And if you look around this corner, all those palm trees that we saw before are just sticks, like burnt matches hanging out there. And if you can look up the hillside, which I know is a little annoying with that giant sun, but the time change happened, and it just changes the way things look on my rides in the morning. As we head up this hill, you're going to see that it's just charred. It's just almost bare, definitely bare in some areas. There are some trees still at the top, which is good because towards the very top are where houses are. From the reporting I've checked out, there were something like 6 homes that were damaged, but I don't think anything was destroyed, luckily. And just riding through here, the whole place smells like there was a fire here just a few days ago, and it's pretty clear. I do this ride, like I said, 4 days a week at least, and it'll be interesting, I guess, to see how this heals, to see what happens. Like I said, these are horrible events, and we don't want them to happen. The only upside I could think is that it's an opportunity to pull out invasive plants that don't belong there, that contributed to the fire and the amount of burning, and hopefully try to replace those with plants that actually belong in the region. But yeah, you can see a road down there now that I had never seen before, which makes sense because these areas do get serviced, but maybe not often enough to pull out everything that doesn't belong there. I tried to look up what caused this fire for you on the reports, but so far nobody's identified what caused it. I speculated things like this can get caused by people throwing cigarettes out of cars. Sometimes people do stupid things like shoot off fireworks, and then then there's the idea that these things start by people who don't have homes, who are living in tents and things like that in encampment in the canyon. And that hasn't been confirmed as the case, but I did see one report that said that this fire started near an encampment. But it definitely wasn't lightning in the middle of the day on Halloween, I'll tell you that. So, but it's a pretty massive amount of devastation, and I'm glad that other people, that people living here didn't get hurt. From what I also read, a lot of the community really came together, and there were helicopters in the air dumping all kinds of fire retardant down, and it's really, from what I'm noticing, a success story in what a community can do when it comes together in the face of a disaster. So I was pleased to hear that. We reached this concrete slab again, and luckily the houses on the end seem to have a little bit of buffer of grass. That makes me feel good as we keep going, drive less, and ride a bike. Thanks for joining me.